In the past, I have done a secrets video for both Heimskr and Riverwood, and today I'll be continuing the series on with Whiterun. This one for sure was the hardest to find secrets for, as I feel like this city is one of the most popular places in Skyrim, and so many people will already know about a lot of the details and secrets, so I suppose you can use this video instead to test your Skyrim knowledge. I will be starting with what I would think is the most common known, and as the video goes on, they will become more uncommon. But remember that on my half it is just a guess. I don't know for certainty whether or not that one of the details is well known or not. With that said, let us begin with the first detail. For this first detail, we will need to travel up to the bridge that goes over a small pond towards the entrance to Dragon's Reach, because what many people may know is that there is a skeleton floating underneath the bridge. But what no one knows is the actual reason why it is there. However, with that said, there are two really interesting theories as to why this skeleton is here. The first one in my opinion is the least likely, and that is that the skeleton is Jarl Balgruf's wife. The theory also goes on to suggest that it was the Jarl himself who put an end to her life. But what reason would he do this for? Well, if you have done the Whispering Door Daedric quest that takes place within Dragon's Reach, then you would know that the Whispering Door is actually the avatar of the Daedric prince named Mephala, who's the prince of murder, lies, deception and secrets. The theory goes on that the Ebony Blade, which is her Daedric artifact, at one point belonged to the Jarl, and after some time with the blade and Mephala's whispers corrupting his mind with manipulation and deception, eventually caused him to unknowingly murder his own wife. After his guilt, he locked the blade in the room, and that explains why the room looks abandoned and unlooked after. However, I don't understand why he would have the body dumped under the bridge, rather having her properly tended to. The other theory seems more plausible. To understand it completely, we will need to travel to Riften and enter Maven Blackbriar's manor. In her room you can find a letter from a man named Kristoff which says, "Dearest Maven, after our disagreement a fortnight ago, I feared that business had finally gotten the best of our friendship. Since I still have yet to receive a reply to my last letter, it seems my suspicions are correct. I realise my mistake has cost you a lot, and all I do is hope to make amends. I'll be staying at the Bannered Mare in Whiterun, should you wish to speak with me. Regards, Kristoff Bartlett." The second part to this can be found in the Bannered Mare, on the table where Uthgerd the Unbroken can be found sitting. This note is from Maven to Kristoff, and it says, "Kristoff, upon reading your last letter, I was deeply touched. You're right, I was angry. But now I realise my anger was misplaced. It's time to leave our disagreements in the past and rekindle our friendship. I'll be sending someone to fetch you and bring you to Riften. I wish to avoid a scene, so he'll be calling at night. Make sure you pack all your belongings securely, as the journey could be rather treacherous. Maven Blackbriar." From reading these notes, it is very clear to see that perhaps Maven didn't fully forgive Kristoff for whatever he did to wrong her. So with that said, Maven perhaps sent the letters to get his guard down before sending someone to collect him, but instead actually murdered him and then hid his body under the bridge. This theory seems more likely to me, but please let me know in the comments what you think. So for this next interesting detail, you will need to have any spell type to level 25, enchanting to level 25, or alchemy to level 25. This is because for this detail, if you have these skills to at least 25, then you can get some unique dialogue with Farengar. In order to get it though, you will first need to speak to Jarl Balgruf and warn him about the Helgen dragon attack. Then he will ask you to help with a favour involving his court wizard. When he stands up, you will quickly need to run to Farengar before he does, and talk to him about the projects that he needs help with. Then you will be able to use the dialogues corresponding to the specific skill, proving to him that you are not as uneducated as he suggests.
What? I'm not even... Ah, I see. You have some knowledge of the alchemical art. Please forgive my earlier rudeness. I'm so often interrupted by visitors wandering in, I can occasionally become quite savage. Now, what did you say you wanted? What? I never even cast it. Ah, I see. You have some knowledge of the higher art. Please forgive my earlier rudeness. I'm so often interrupted by visitors wandering in, I can occasionally become quite savage. Where? I would never... Ah, I see. You are a fellow enchanter. Please forgive my earlier rudeness. I'm so often interrupted by visitors wandering in, I can occasionally become quite savage.
So this next detail or secret is pretty much 2 in 1. During the main quest called The Fallen, you will be given the goal to capture a dragon named Odahviing. When it comes to using the shout to call the dragon, Odahviing will arrive and grab one of the Whiterun guards with his claws, and then he proceeds to throw him to his death. After witnessing this, you can come right here on the map and actually find his body, which can be looted. The body will land here every time, well at least it did for me. Furthermore, nearby, there is a chest that can be looted, in case you want even more of a reason to come here. On the other hand though, it is actually possible to save the guard from getting grabbed by the dragon. But I won't lie to you, you do have to go out of your way in order to get it done, and it is RNG based. Firstly, before getting to this point in the main quest, you will need to complete the Daedric quest called the Mind of Madness, in which you will be given the Daedric artifact called the Wabberjack by Sheogorath. Once you have this item, you can continue with the quest like normal. But before you call the dragon, get the Wabberjack ready to use and stand near the guard. Then just before the dragon goes to grab the guard, use the staff on him. Now this is where the RNG part comes in, so I'd recommend a quick save. For those who don't know, the Wabberjack will apply a random effect onto the target. The one we are hoping for is to turn the guard into either a mud crab, chicken, and I think even the rabbit will be fine too. This will cause the dragon to ignore the guard. At this point you will need to trap the dragon in Dragon's Reach, and the guard will be alive. Even though you can save the guard, I don't think his dialogue is unique, as the other guards present have the same lines of dialogue, but regardless, it's still interesting to know that you can save him. Up next, we are going to be focusing on Ysolda, who is a Nord woman and is one of the only ones in Whiterun that has trust for the travelling Khajiit merchants. The main reason we are focusing on Ysolda is because she actually has a secret. In order to find out about it, you will need to travel here on the map to the Sleeping Tree Cave, where inside you will find a dead orc, who has been killed by the giant that can be found here. The orc's name is Ulag, and if we search his body we can find a note called Ysolda's message that says, "Don't try to stiff me on this deal, Ulag. I can talk the Khajiit into a better price than you'd be able to, and the guards are still looking for you after that little skuma incident. Just bring the sap to my store in Whiterun, like we discussed. Ysolda." From reading this note, we can clearly see that Ysolda isn't afraid of getting into some shady business, as she has hired Ulag in order to get her some of the Sleeping Tree sap, which is highly valued by people for its ability to make people feel healthier for some time. Just like other narcotics, this one also has side effects, such as slowness and purple blurry vision. The reason Ysolda would want this is actually quite smart because of two reasons. Firstly, this narcotic is fairly recent, and so this might mean that the sap is not yet known to the Empire, which may also technically mean that this drug is not yet illegal. Secondly, Ysolda is on very good terms with the Khajiit merchants, who pay a high price for it. Before going back to Ysolda, you can go over to the actual tree outside and harvest some of the sap for yourself every couple of in-game days through the use of the spigot. When you go back to Ysolda, you can bring up the situation with her and even sell it to her for 150 gold per bottle.
Did you? So Ulag didn't make it past those giants then? More's the pity. If you found any of the sap, I'd be willing to pay you the same cut I offered him. Better price than you're likely to find otherwise. Ah, of course. How much have you got? Very good. Be sure to bring any more sleeping tree sap you find to me.
For this final detail, we'll be focusing on Heimskr, the Nord priest who can always be heard preaching throughout the day. Firstly, a small detail about his name is that it actually may be a reference to the Icelandic word Heimskr, which means fool or the one who has never been far from home. This actually makes sense as his home is literally a few steps from where he can be found preaching. But anyway, have you ever wondered where Heimskr ends up if you side with the Imperials during the Civil War questline? Well, in order to find out, you will of course have to complete the questline up until the point where you attack Whiterun. Now this is where things may be a bit different in your game, as there may be a bug where you can see him walking around like normal, or even continue to preach. However, as far as I'm aware, this isn't intended. To find Heimskr, you will need to travel to the Dragon's Reach dungeons. When inside, you'll be able to find the Nord in a cell, continuing to preach about Talos. If you side with the Stormcloaks though, he will have a tent set up near the shrine. Heimskr getting put into prison is basically 50-50, because even though it does seem to be intended, as I've said before, a bug can prevent him from being put there, and so if you want it to be guaranteed, then the unofficial Skyrim Special Edition patch will fix the issue. Finally, one last note about this is that according to the UESP website, it states that the Talos statue in Whiterun will be removed after the battle. However, I have never actually seen this occur. And there we have it, some interesting details and secrets about Whiterun, at least I hope anyway. Let me know in the comments about how many you know about. Also, if you haven't already, then consider checking out the 2 previous episodes in the series. Thank you for watching and have a great day.